Okay, we're going to go ahead and enter into 4A action items. If I can please have the city attorney read.
Thank you so much. This is resolution number 2025-48, declaring zoning in progress to establish the Keep Deltona Wild Overlay District to encourage low-impact residential development, protect environmentally sensitive lands, preserve biodiversity, preserve and encourage agrarian communities, and promote ecotourism and agritourism activities within certain unique areas of the city of Deltona, and determining that applications for development orders and development agreements shall be subject to the zoning in progress.
Okay, so we can entertain a motion or start discussion at this time before we go to public comment on this specific item.
I'd like to make a motion. I hereby move to approve resolution number, excuse me. I'm sorry. I hereby move to approve resolution number 2025-48 for the zoning in progress for the Keep Deltona Wild District overlay.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, second by Commissioner Lully. Vice Mayor Harriet, you're on the, and then Commissioner Caldwell.
The challenge I have with the way that this is written is that it's all one item and not three separate areas. I really think that this needs to be broken out into three separate items, one for each area, so that we can speak about them individually. Other than that, I agree with the purpose. I just don't agree with the way that the approach that this is written.
Can you give an explanation of what the three separate areas are?
The three areas in the map.
District 6. Yeah.
Good morning. If I may just address the map, in working with Commissioner Lully, legal and planning, kind of took these three areas as having the unique characteristics described in the resolution. The intent moving forward with drafting would be that if all three are to be moved forward on, we could have the Keep Deltona Wild overlay with sub areas that tailor to the unique characteristics that are present in each of the three sub areas in order to address that concern.
Thank you. Commissioner Caldwell, then Commissioner Santiago.
Zach, could you outline those?
Can you please speak into the microphone?
Could you outline those unique characteristics in those areas?
Zach?
If that was directed to me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
Could you
full
outline
questions.
those unique characteristics in those areas?
With that, I would actually want to defer to planning and to Commissioner Lully, who is really the architect of this item.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. So there's three parts of the overlay. There's the Collins Road overlay, and that's to protect agricultural land and promote farming. Then there's the Reed Ellis overlay, and that's to protect the natural resources. And then there's the Fish Hawk area, and that's to look at low-impact residential development, also in the Reed Ellis. And that would include the Reed Ellis as well. So there's three overlay.
Is that because of the effect it would have on flooding?
For the Reed Ellis, yes. But for the Fish Hawk, no.
Have we looked at any other areas in Deltona identified that could be possible flooding? I know on Captain, for example, I think there was a development that was going to come in.
Not at this particular meeting with Commissioner Lully, no, sir.
Okay. That's all I have.
Commissioner Santiago, then Commissioner Howington, Vice Mayor Harriet, and Commissioner Lully. You have to push on the bottom.
Awesome. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Mayor. I remember the last time that Commissioner Lully brought it to our attention, and I know we were going to discuss further the details of how this would impact that area. We have yet to get the details in that information. It went from requesting information and getting information straight to a resolution. I don't think we had the chance to talk about it, understand it a little bit more. And I do agree with Harriet. I think we need more information on this subject. I just don't feel right now that we have information to move forward and just do a resolution. Thank you.
Commissioner Howington, then Vice Mayor Harriet, then Commissioner Lowey.
So the zoning in progress expires in 120 days, correct? I see Zach shaking his head. That's a yes?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. So if we were to approve this today, it's not a final thing. If we don't act in the next 120 days, then it essentially becomes null and void, correct?
That is correct.
So the fact that it's not broken up into 3 specific areas really shouldn't matter because this is a temporary thing. I would propose that we go ahead, move forward with the zoning in progress. I know that we've seen a lot of information coming through. We have all heard that the JPA is being looked at. It does make me concerned that there might be applications out there that would be going against what we would be proposing with this zoning in progress. Given the fact that we're looking at wetlands and we really need to know what flooding we'd be causing, I think the fact that it's not broken up into 3 specific areas is not a major concern at this particular point in time for something that is inundated in 120 days. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Harriet, Commissioner Lowey, and then I'm going to speak.
So that's part of the reason why I specifically think that this should be broken up into 3 pieces. I would really like to see today this resolution be specifically for the Collins Road community, and then bringing back individual resolutions for the other 2 areas at the next commission meeting. Because this is inundated in 120 days, if we can't all agree on all 3 areas, then somebody's going to be left out, and the Collins Road community desperately needs help. The other 2 areas need help, but they're all individual. So I'd like to see them all done individually so we're not tying each area to the success of the other 2 areas. 120 days really is not that much time, especially for us to tackle 3 individual areas with unique characteristics. So I can't support the motion as it is. I would really like to see this item today be for Collins Road only, with direction to bring back the other 2 areas with individual resolutions at the next commission meeting.
Excuse me, before we proceed, do we have extra chairs that we can put out for some of the residents? Thank you. Commissioner Lowey?
Thank you, Mayor. So can we let's take it a few steps back if we can. I'll talk to planning, legal, whoever wants to answer. So zoning in progress is just opening the conversation, right? Could we classify it somewhat like that?
Yes.
So can zoning in progress be extended?
You can extend it, yes.
Okay, so we're not really tied to if we need to go 150 days. I'm just throwing something out there. We can extend it.
And I'm going to defer to legal. I believe you can extend it an additional 60 to 90 days.
Yes, that's correct.
Still not a lot of
We wouldn't want to extend this really much beyond 6 months because that could provide the appearance of a moratorium rather than a zoning in progress. But certainly if we need a few extra days to wrap up drafting or to incorporate new information, that is all possible with the zoning in progress.
Can the comprehensive plan amendments be brought back as 3 separate items?
Yes, they can.
Yes.
Okay, so really, voting for the zoning in progress today does not restrict us from bringing back the actual comprehensive plan amendments as 3 different items.
Correct.
Okay.
That's right.
So then this to me is just the first step. This is not the finale. This is not actually adopting any changes. I think voting no on this closes the door on having the actual conversation. I think Commissioner Caldwell brought up a great point that I'm the District 6 commissioner, so that's why all the areas identified were District 6, because those are the people who talked to me. I think this could be extended beyond this, just this. Maybe it's not, it might not have necessarily the same name. I mean, we could have that conversation as commission. Could be something different, but I think we'll be able to take the threads out of this and apply it to some of those other areas that I think maybe you're thinking of. So again, I think this is just the first step in what is a lengthy process. I think in the workshop today, we'll touch on a few more of the items and I think the direction that we'd like to go in with this. But I was extremely pleased that this was written the way it was. I think it was great between planning and legal. I'd like to commend everyone who was involved in putting this together. And then finally, I'd just like to encourage my colleagues to vote for it today because, again, we're not adopting the actual comprehensive plan amendments. If you are not satisfied with one of the particular areas later on, we can have that conversation, but this will not put anything into stone the way as I understand zoning in progress. So I think that's what I have for now. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to speak, then Commissioner Howington, then Commissioner Avila, Vasquez, then Vice Mayor Harriet. Here's some of the issues that I have, right? Jordan, who drafted this map?
Planning worked with Commissioner Lilly with that.
But who did the overlay?
Commissioner Lilly outlined the different overlays.
Okay. Because we got full consensus on this, full consensus. So it's not like we're not supporting it. So this appearance that some of us are not supporting it because of whatever the reason, it's not accurate, right? I would have loved, and I know that a lot of the other commissioners here have their own districts, but as a mayor that oversees all the districts, I would have loved to have some type of input in this. I had no input at all, right? I understand the appearance of what we're trying to get done, but I'm also looking to protect our city because when I'm looking at the different overlays, even though the zoning in progress won't get us there, but it sets us up for a very, very hefty Burt Harris lawsuit, right? So yes, it does. So correct me if I'm wrong, Gemma or Zach, if we go ahead and do this zoning in progress, the people that already have applications in place, that does not get affected, right?
That is correct. If you already have an application in that has been deemed complete,
correct,
you are entitled to review under the current regulations. If the application were to be denied for whatever reason, and you have to come back and resubmit, a resubmission, a new application would be under the new regulations of whatever may be adopted. I also do want to clarify that certainly from a legal perspective, it is our intent that any future regulation would not set the city up for a Burt Harris claim, which is essentially a takings claim or development rights. We would be very careful in drafting in order to avoid that possibility as much as we can.
Correct. So here's the other concern that I have with this. We're rushing through something, and it feels very rushed. And a lot of us on this dais want to see some of these protections in place. The last time we tried to rush a moratorium, I wasn't on the dais, but the last time we tried to rush a moratorium, we did a moratorium, nothing got done. We extended it, again, nothing got done. So are we going to blow our only possibility to actually rectify something? Let's do things differently from prior commissions, right? Let's sit down, let's have this discussion. There's already applications in place, so it's not like we're trying to preemptively stop development, but let's have a real discussion. Let's get everyone involved, right? We have another overlay that's coming up in the next item, and I mean, let's do this as a team, right? Let's each of us have a discussion on why some of these overlays will work, why some of them won't. I get D-Ranch, most of that is conservation anyways, but let's do this together. I feel very, very uncomfortable just rubber stamping something that we're gonna protect for 120 days, then we're gonna end up coming back and rubber stamping another 60 days or whatever to kill the illusion of a moratorium or kill the illusion of preemptive development, and then we get nothing done. So let's be smart about this. Let's have the conversation. I recommend to table it. I don't recommend to kill it. I recommend to table it so we can actually have an agenda item on this on a regular commission meeting, so we can have a real clear-cut discussion. That's my recommendation. So Commissioner Howington, Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and Vice Mayor Harriet.
Thank you, Mayor. So let's talk about Burt J. Harris for a minute. Do we have any completed applications in place right now for the current low-density allowance for these locations?
We do have current applications and that have been deemed complete, yes.
At the current density?
At the current density,
With no rezoning, no changes, no anything?
no. We have current applications that are looking to rezone.
So it would require a rezone?
Correct, yes.
And it would not meet the current requirements of what the land allows? So the landowners purchased a piece of property with an expectation that they could build based on what their current zoning is, correct?
Correct.
They did not know what the future zoning would be, is that correct?
They're looking to increase the density.
Okay.
If that's the question you're asking, yes.
So in other words, if we put in a 120-day pause and it expires, could we come back with a new zoning in progress to separate the three areas and do new zoning in progress that's separate from this?
That would be the same thing.
That's a question for the legal.
The city could move forward with a separate zoning in progress at a future date. I would caution that it needs to be distinctly different. It couldn't be a copy and paste of the current zoning. If you want to move forward with extending the current zoning, it would be preferable to do that through an extension.
But it is possible to change that and to do something different based on what the commission sits down and discusses.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Because I know, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that, there hasn't been a lot of discussion. There's a lot of things that we don't know. I would like to state that I did ask for draft copies of the information that was being put out last weekend, and I was denied. I had heard in the community that other commissioners had received information prior to that, so I'd like to know who had seen the draft copies. Anybody? Anybody? Because I did not. So I do feel your frustration. I do feel that in a lot of areas, the commissioners are being kept in the dark. Said this multiple times.
Commissioner Lowly was the one that participated.
And Commissioner Lowly said that he saw it.
He drafted it.
You drafted it.
Did you see it after it came back when it went to the attorneys? Did you see a draft that you could redline?
Yes, but I did not redline it, but I did see it.
But you did see it, so
last
you had
weekend.
prior knowledge that the rest of us didn't.
We gave consensus for that to take place.
Right. No, I'm aware.
Okay.
But again, the mayor brought it up and said that, we need more information, all of that information. So I'm just trying to clarify. Because obviously this is the only time we can really speak about this, and so we're here, open forum. People need to know. I've asked for additional information. I said I would be out of pocket most of the week, so I'm uncomfortable with a lot of this, especially with the way the meeting came up, but that's neither here nor there. We can do the zoning for 120 days if we need to break it out into 3 based on what the commission determines. I would also recommend that we should probably have another workshop on this so that we can get the information and we can work together. But in the meantime, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't move forward with the zoning in progress. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez, Vice Mayor Harriet, Commissioner Colwell.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse my voice a little bit here. So my question was also going to be about how many pending applications are out there.
We have 3 pending applications. We have Vineland Reserve, we have Pine Ridge UD, and then we have Raintree.
Are they still agricultural? Are they looking to be rezoned for
They're looking to rezone for single-family residential.
So they're still agricultural?
They're currently.
They're currently agriculture, zone agriculture.
No. Rural estates.
Well, okay, even better. So here's my problem with workshops and table. There's been a few meetings that I've been to here that we've asked to table things. I've never been asked to come to a table, or we've had a workshop on anything that has been requested to have a workshop. I only come to a meeting and find notes and papers that said this is what was decided. By whom? I don't know, but it wasn't me. Information. We have been getting information about these areas since I've been a commissioner. All these people that sit here come all the time complaining about the same thing that we are trying to resolve right now. The people that live in Collins Road and Reed Ellis and Fish Hawk, they come here all the time. I don't know how much more information we need from them. So I have nothing more to ask. I mean, I say let's go for it.
Vice Mayor Harriet, and then Commissioner Lully.
Marissa, I agree with every point that you made.
But
I agree with every point that you made, that we've been hearing from and seeing these residents at meetings constantly wanting us to do exactly what this item does. My challenge is that, and I'm not asking this commission to defer anything. I think that the motion needs to be to include direction to bring back the other two areas as separate agenda items at the next meeting so that we can also approve them. My concern, and I have seen it time and time again, to your point, that when this commission says we're going to table something and bring it back, or we're going to do a workshop on it, or we want to see this in the future, or we want to do it this way, that it never comes back. Or when it does come back, it's all lumped together and you can't agree on everything. And that's where I have problems on this item, is because there are some unique challenges with each of the areas that are included, and I don't want the challenges in one area to hold up progress in the other area. So that's why I would propose that this resolution be limited to Collins Road, and then with direction given to bring the other two areas, the other two overlays, back at the next commission meeting as separate resolutions for us to approve. I think all three of them absolutely need to be approved. I think it's just very important that we do all three of them. If we need to do an extension on one of them or on two of them, then we can, but those extensions aren't going to hold up progress on the other one or other ones. So I think, and this is an issue that I have federal government bills all the way down to what we're doing now. I don't think it's appropriate to tie things that are unique all together, so that if somebody doesn't get exactly what they want on one, then the other ones are held hostage. I think it's important that we look at each of these areas individually for their unique characteristics, and we approve them based off of that. I think that that's the most important thing for us to do today, is look at them individually. Look at them, because we have to do that, right? We know that the residents are demanding that we do this, but I think it's important that we look at them individually.
since you're directing comment towards me, I just want to ask a question out there. I've been asked to come and view most of these areas. How many commissioners here have taken the time to go out there and view these areas? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we all know what we're talking about, because to me, the three areas that we mentioned all fall into the same category, so I just don't see what's going to benefit separating them.
I think that the Collins Road is really more about unique, the agricultural uses, maintaining that rural character, adding the agricultural uses. Reed Ellis area is more conservation-based. I quite frankly don't like the way that the map is drawn for each of them. The Collins Road area includes Vineland Reserve, and there's nothing about what we're discussing for the Collins Road area that would affect Vineland Reserve. That project is already been approved, more or less. 2 phases are already complete. There's nothing, we can't go back and make a development rural. You can't maintain rural character in a subdivision that's already been built. And then specifically with the Fish Hawk, that includes a bunch of commercial property on Howland, and I don't know that, while I agree with these protections for the areas off of Howland, I don't like that we're trying to put rural protections over commercial property on Howland when we're missing commercial development on Howland, specifically on that end of Howland. So that's why I think it's important that these be brought up individually as individual items so that we can look at the characteristics of each of them individually.
Commissioner Lally?
Thank you, Mayor. That's what we will do in the actual comprehensive plan amendments and subsequent meetings and workshops and discussions that we're going to have. This is just, what is the term? The opening salvos? Am I saying that right? This is just the opening the conversation. The intent always was to bring back 3 different or whatever we're going to call it, 3 different items, and go through the process that's governed by our law and our ordinances for land use changes. So I would say my response would be that is our intent to come back with that. This is just a consolidated zoning in progress because all 3 of those areas have, for the most part, less intense current zoning than what I would say the majority of the city is. So that's why it's being brought together like that. As far as Vineland Reserve being in it, you're right. There's a big fat mistake right in the middle of the Collins Road zoning overlay, and the intent there was to have contiguous flow for that overlay from the south to the north, and you have to go through Vineland Reserve to do it. So now, do we want more dense zoning in Vineland Reserve? No. Do I think there's room for it? No. But that's why it's included in there, was to try to keep them contiguous as this was being drawn. So in summary, I would just say this is just the opening of the conversation. There will be time to bring it back. I don't think anyone should have concerns that the time is going to be wasted because you're dealing with me. So I'm not a time waster. I use my time efficiently when I'm working with our staff because it is so limited. I think it's a little ironic. There's worry about it not getting done, but yet there's also concern I've heard from others who say this came up too fast. So clearly I'm capable of working with staff at a good pace in order to bring this back to you guys. When I was elected in November, this is the #1 thing I've heard, and it's from people in all 3 of those areas who have said that they are very concerned about our land use and what has occurred over the past 30 years of our existence as a city. Some of these people went kicking and screaming being annexed into our city because they do have such a different land use characteristic than, say, where I live. I mean, I live very near these areas, but I'm in a typical 1/3 of an acre lot that's common in the rest of my district, except in these areas. So that was the common thread between all of them, is that they had less dense zoning than the majority of the district. I want to touch on a few other points, because the Bert Harris thing was sort of channeled to me through third parties this week. There is not an intent to remove current entitlements. It is not the goal of myself, I imagine the rest of the 6 of you, staff, to have a suit and to have the zoning overlay killed. We are not removing entitlements. We are aware that this doesn't apply to applications that are already in. So this is not something that is meant to remove someone's existing rights. What this is trying to do is reduce the possibility of vesting someone the right to build hundreds of new homes with 0 lot lines, and we see the result of that being stormwater that's not in compliance, people being flooded out, traffic, crowding at our schools. I mean, all the things that come along with putting very intense zoning in these areas where we don't have the resources at this point in time to support it, both from a human side, but as well as from the natural resource side, because some of these areas have aquifer recharge potential, they have stormwater mitigation potential, and we need to be looking at all those areas very closely, because every single more intense zoning that we put in an area where it wasn't like that has the potential to really make things bad for a city. So this is the number one by far. It's not can the mayor travel to wherever? It's not any of these other things that we hear about. The number one issue is land use and the concerns that come with changing it. I think we're seeing that hopefully in the audience tonight. So I just wanted to address that. There's no Bert Harris. We're not removing entitlements. We're not trying to mess over anyone who has a current application in. This is looking at our future. We know what the applications are that are in. Do I necessarily, I don't ever prejudge an item. Do I necessarily agree with them? Maybe not, but I understand that I'm trying to make sure that we don't get us sued. I do this professionally, guys. I know I know how to work with staff on this, so I would encourage everyone to vote for this as it is, and we can have that. We're going to have those conversations about, like, this isn't going to die on the vine. This isn't going to be a wasted moratorium. I can promise you that, because in 3.5 years I'll lose re-election if I don't live up to the expectation for everyone here who's in the audience. That was a joke. No, I think this is really, really important. I've been personally affected by the flooding and all the other effects that we have with putting dense development all throughout District 6. I've had water up to the last seam on my driveway. My neighbor next door in a brand new house, the house is flooded twice in 2 years. So this is something that's very important to me. And again, I want to sorry to keep talking, but I keep hearing things that are not necessarily the intent or accurate. We're not removing entitlements. There are going to be no Bert Harris claims. We understand that there's existing applications that may not fall under this. We understand all of that. And again, I've had the conversation with staff about breaking it into 3 areas. This is just the zoning in progress to open it up. So when we actually go into the land use items later on within that window, we'll be able to evaluate this in those 3 areas. That's why it's not all one color. That's why it is broken up into 3 different colors. I mean, this was very intentional. So again, I would encourage everyone to approve it as is. We are not amending our comprehensive plan today. This is just opening the conversation. Voting no on this means we're not even willing to have it. I think it's time for some really bold action. Other cities and counties have done this. Osceola County has an urban growth boundary. Ours is a little more difficult because we do have plan unit developments, plopped down within there, so it can't just be a line the way Osceola County has, and other counties and cities have zoning overlays as well. So this has worked in other areas where we're trying to preserve certain characteristics. And again, I would appreciate your support on this today. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Commissioner, I believe you misspoke. You said moratorium. I think you meant zoning in progress.
Yes.
Thank you. I also just wanted to flag that in working with the commissioner, the manager's office, and the staff, there is consensus that we would be bringing in a planning consultant, either who already we're working with or, under the manager's authority to support this progress, because it is a particular goal, and so the goal would be to have a consultant, a planning consultant who has a lot of experience with these types of overlay districts to come in and work with staff and work with us to perform that work, particularly because obviously time is important here. And certainly we would encourage them to come and do a presentation before any of these items were approved, just so you know.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I just want to bring to the Commission's attention, this afternoon we're going to be having a presentation by our consultant. They were the ones that did the vision workshop over the last couple months, and over the next 6 months we will be working on the goals, objectives, and policies, and a lot of what we're talking about today will be handled during the comp plan update. I guess it would be staff's recommendation that we deal with it during the comp plan update.
Deal with this during the, okay.
Deal with the zoning in progress during the comp plan update, correct?
Okay. I'm going to say something, then we'll go to Vice Mayor Harriet. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. To allude to that some of us, by voting no, don't support seeing this, that's being disingenuous. Number one, most of the people that know me know that I want to see less housing. We need commercial. For a city to be successful, you need a 70-30 split. You can ask any business development person. Our city it has 8% commercial. When I got elected, there was only 3% commercial. It's 8% now. That's not a room for success, okay? The issue I have, and where I want the rest of the commission to put themselves in my shoes, the next item is about a downtown overlay. If I went ahead and just did the whole thing on my own without any type of asking Maritza how she feels about, you know, the architecture, or Commissioner Howington how she feels about maybe bag pass, whatever the point is, we need to do this as a team, you know? Whoever ends up getting the kudos for it, great. I really don't care who gets the kudos for getting this done. And Commissioner Lully, it's great. It's a breath of fresh air that you get things done. We want to see that here, but we need to get things done together as a unit, as a team, as a dais. You're right. In the past, there's been a lot of wasting of time, 100%. We have a new city manager. We have attorneys that actually are competent now. We have a new planning director. We have a deputy city manager. I think we have a good commission, believe it or not. So there's nothing wrong with sitting back down and saying, let's have this conversation. Right now, what I'm hearing is, let's go ahead. Sounds very familiar, by the way. Let's go ahead and get this passed, and then we'll find out what's in it when we come back and we sit down and we talk about it. Why couldn't we talk about it first? Get together. I would have no issues with a lot of these overlays, to Vice Mayor Harriet's point. Each of these are very, very different. And just to be very frank, and this question is specifically for Gemma or for Zach, whoever wants to answer. We passed this overlay, zoning in progress, right? Vineland already has an application, and mind you, I am not a fan of Vineland, and I'm sorry, they might be in the audience. It's just, you know, the experience I've had, it's not positive. But we said, hey, put together a bond or whatever. They put together a bond. They come before the commission. We deny their final plat again. What happens? Is that not the definition of a Burt Harris lawsuit?
A Burt Harris claim is specific to vested rights and existing uses.
Correct.
So certain, and I don't want to get into the merits of a specific case, so I want to kind of take this a little bit removed. If a property has vested rights, they would be entitled to move forward under the current code without the modifications, you know, under their current reasonable expectations, or may be entitled to compensation either through a transfer of development rights process or a settlement agreement. It could take many different forms. So that would be as far as a property with vested rights. And of course, existing use, if you are an existing supermarket in an area that has been rezoned to be residential, you can still be a supermarket, you know, until that use is completely abandoned. So I hope that provides the clarification that you were asking for.
It was a way to swing around it, but yes, that's fine. Vice Mayor Harriet.
So I think the majority of us are on the same page.
Correct.
Commissioner Howington's point, I don't think we're really at risk of a Burt Harris claim here. I really don't think we're there. You made a great point that the entitlements to the land as they're currently zoned are what they are. All the new applications are asking for increases in zoning, which would then have to come before the commission, right? Commissioner Lully, phenomenal job of getting this done quickly and efficiently. That is not something that this commission has seen, certainly in the little more than a year that I've been here and years before that I've been involved. The only concern that I still have, and maybe there's a way we can accomplish it today, is these three, even at this stage with the zoning in progress, being tied together. That being said, city attorneys, is there a way to split these out and approve them today separately?
I mean, the short answer is if we can't draw a new map, but
We split up the map.
we could make an oral amendment, and I would write it and give it to the clerk. And we could, it's not preferential, but we could say, you know, keep Deltona Wild overlay district 1, 2, and 3. Although, again, the zoning in progress just allows us to do this work on these areas. We are not bound to keep these areas. We could, we can't go larger, but we could go less, and we could do 1 and not 3. We could do 2 and not 3. We could do half of 1. So
That's why I think that there's so much variability in what can happen from this point on that I think it's important, I really truly think that it's important that we discuss each area individually as individual resolutions and not tie them all together. There's just a lot of variability. And to Commissioner Lully's point, this is truly the beginning of the discussion, right? We're not making the comp plan amendment today. But those discussions are unique for each of these areas, and I don't believe they should be tied together. I don't want to see later on it come to the point where we don't get exactly what we want with one area because somebody's not getting exactly what they want with another area. I truly believe that this needs to be done independently, and my suggestion and what I hope that this commission can accomplish today is a motion to approve this resolution specifically for the Collins Road area first, and then provide direction to bring the other two areas back as individual resolutions at the next commission meeting on April 7th.
There's already a motion on the table.
I understand that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to be clear, if we do separate them, they can't all have the same characteristics. So right now, the characteristics are encourage low-impact residential development, protect environmentally sensitive lands, preserve biodiversity, preserve and encourage agrarian communities, and promote ecotourism and agritourism within certain unique areas. Okay, so those are the characteristics that if you carve it out, then those would only apply to Collins, that Collins Road area, and then the new resolutions and a different overlay district would need to have different characteristics. There could be some overlap, but it could not be the same characteristics. So if it is not your goal to have those 6 things in all 3 of these districts, then I understand that. But if it is your goal to have these 6 things in all 3 districts, then splitting them up would prevent that, because then we would be limited to where we've carved it.
If that's the case, then how can we approve this today and then approve them individually as comp plan amendments if they're not all the same characteristics?
So the way that this can be drafted is as a single overlay with sub-areas, and certainly it is the discretion of the commission if they would like to allow a sub-area or not allow another sub-area. And these sub-areas could tailor to some of the more unique characteristics in each area without foreclosing the ability to have all of the 6 goals included.
I still think that my point stands that there's so many unique characteristics between each of these areas. Not all 6 of those points apply to every single area. There is some overlap, but there's enough distinguishing characteristics between them that this warrants being separate items.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, we could amend this resolution, we could amend the title to include, we could call this Keep Deltona Wild Overlay Sub-Area, with sub-area Reed Ellis, with sub-area Collins Road, with sub-area Fishhawk, and allow us to use this same map and these 6 goals, and then work during this process of the zoning in progress with staff and with the consultant to create the characteristics of those sub-areas. So that's an easier amendment for us to amend the title and with the sub-areas.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm still concerned that this is going to be held against us in the future, that we're not going to be able to approve one area because somebody's not getting what they want in another area. But if the majority of the commission can get on board with that, then I think that would be
My biggest hurdle is going to be, and I know I have other people here, is moving forward, I want, yes, a consultant, obviously staff, because you guys obviously know more than all of us, but the commission needs to be consultant. We just can't be creating things, and then all of us, and it's not a, I promise you, it's not a jab at you. It's just, we voted to give you consensus to get information and come back to us. And I watched the video multiple times, and then after we gave consensus, you asked for an overlay. I have no issue with this map. Is not an issue. I just want us to be included, and it's not, Commissioner Lally, it's not funny. We're trying to, do something serious, and I get it. It's frustrating. I've been there for 2 years trying to get stuff that I'd like to see done, and sometimes I don't. Most of the time, I didn't get my way. But that's not the point. I think all of us here are supportive of this. I mean, if I'm incorrect, please tell me, but the majority is supportive of this. We just want to see this done correctly. It can be fast, like you said, but let's get the input of everybody else. I mean, that's all I'm asking for is some input. And I promise you, if the shoe was on my foot and I was the one trying to do this on a downtown Deltona, man,
Isn't that what that next item is?
That's all I'm saying. So
I think that's what the next item is. I got to respond because you said
you're on the board anyway.
Yes, thank you. You previously stated within this meeting that there's commercial properties within this. That is incorrect.
I didn't.
I did.
You did?
On Howland, across from
It's
Pine Grove.
incorrect. So I don't know there should be no commercial within this.
Commissioner, there is commercially zoned property, yes, along Howland.
Which I thought we drew out the ones that are in, we drew out what was on Howland. It's not in the map.
Staff will double check that.
What was that?
Staff will look at that again.
I mean, I can see it here. It's not. I mean, I can see the 3 parcels that are currently zoned commercial are not within the overlay. Just want to put that out there.
Just, I don't mean to interrupt you. Is there a map that we can put so the residents can see what we're talking about?
I don't have a map.
We don't have a slide?
No.
So, anyways, the whole point and why I was saying that, and apologies that I cited it to the wrong person. I just wanted to say also the goal of this is not to
Guys, if we can please keep your voices down.
Reduce or interrupt commercial. When I've in my 4 months of conversations with folks, there is a desire for commercial. It's just the right kind of commercial and what fits with the characteristics of the community. So I just wanted to make sure there was I can see it's not in the map. The 3 commercial parcels out in front of Fishhawk are not included within it, and there was never. I drew it out of that. So I just wanted to make sure that point was known that it's not on the commercial. And again, back to what we're saying.
Guys, could we please keep our voices down? We're trying to have a conversation.
Point of order. Can we get the map up so that
I just
people
asked
can
if they
see?
don't have.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
They can be passed around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, no, I hear a lot of concerns. Those are the concerns that I would expect for the actual comprehensive plan amendments, not opening the conversation. Fishhawk has the same zoning as Collins Road. What is it, residential, rural estates?
Rural estates.
I get the 2 mixed up. Okay, so it has the same zoning as that. So again, if I didn't have all of the properties there off Fort Smith between the two areas, I mean, hypothetically, they would have been connected. So that was the common thread there. I've heard the concerns. If we wanted to do a separate, I'm committing to here on live television that I would do it, but if we wanted a separate consensus to have the land use amendments be brought in sub-areas, which was always the intent, always the goal, I think that would be fine. But I don't think, from what I'm hearing, from a legal perspective, changing the zoning in progress there wouldn't be an actual practicality difference. It would just be a difference to make people, for lack of a better term, feel good. Am I kind of on the track with that? There's no difference whether or not we do zoning in progress and just say keep Deltona Wild Overlay or break it into the 3 sub-areas now, because we can still bring back 3 things as the land use amendments. If we broke it up now, there's nothing different from a practical perspective.
Commissioner Lilly, to answer that question, without specifically changing the characteristics desired in each of the various sub-areas at this point, the practical effect of calling out the different sub-areas is for, I think, clarity as far as bringing forward any future regulations to be consistent with having 3 different sub-areas. And I also want to offer that if the Commission's concern is about their continued involvement with the regulation drafting as it moves forward, the motion made today could always include direction for public workshops or work sessions on this item as it moves forward.
And I would say that has always been the intent. And I think we've talked about hiring. I mean, we have a whole workshop after this where we were going to discuss this, and that was always going to be the goal of getting the consensus out of if we needed any further. There was always going to be a goal of having I love public workshops. It's what I do professionally. So I think that was always the intent and always the goal of this, was to have that process be put into place so that we get the public's involvement in shaping what they want to see in their own backyards. So again, I just want to commit that to the Commission, that was always the goal, always the intent. I think from a legal perspective, from what I've heard, it's not me saying this is what I've heard, we are good with approving the zoning in progress, and we can bring back the comprehensive plan amendments. We've drawn out the commercial, but let's say there was a parcel in there that we didn't want the overlay over, and we were able to not change or not put the overlay in place on that particular parcel. So I think that we're okay today. From what I've heard, we're not changing entitlements. We're not doing any of that. We're not adopting this into our comprehensive plan. We're simply opening the conversation. We're able to get into the specifics here as we go forward. And I don't think that this body is shy to take decisive action here. So I think that we're okay with this. Thank you.
Commissioner, did you still want to speak?
No.
Commissioner Colwell, then Commissioner Howington, then Vice Mayor Harriet, then we'll go to public comment.
Yeah, you had mentioned that we could amend this to include subparts 1, 2, 3, as far as the different areas.
We could amend the resolution and break out the sub-areas, although without adding characteristics, which we could do, it would be the same. It would be these same 6 characteristics for all of them.
If we broke it into subparts, all 6 characteristics could be used in all subs, so to speak, subparts.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't quite.
If it was broken into subparts 1, 2, and 3, so all 6 characteristics would be able to be used in those subparts.
Yes, as far as the direction received in the zoning in progress, certainly as we move forward with drafting, if it doesn't make sense to include all 6 in each of the sub areas, that can be accomplished. But as far as the zoning in progress, by breaking out the sub-areas in this existing resolution through amendment, you would be allowing the use of all 6 of these various goals and characteristics in all of the sub-areas.
If we were to break it up into subparts, could there be additional subparts added to be determined, or, for instance, in other areas?
We would need to bring a subsequent zoning in progress amending this if we were going to include additional areas in order to provide notice to those additional property owners in those areas.
Yeah, that's all I have. I think I could stand behind it. So.
Vice Mayor Harriet, then we'll go to public comment.
So what I'm hearing, I think, from the attorneys is that if we want to extend this to the other parts of the city, maybe now or never is too harsh, but it's something along those lines, because we couldn't use the same reasons for other areas. So in order to do the same thing in District 1, would we be able to do a zoning in progress? Because it sounds like if we want to do it for these reasons, we can't. It's now or we can't.
So you could add areas in a subsequent zoning in progress. They just couldn't be called something different, I guess is the nuance there, is it would still be the Keep Deltona Wild overlay, but applied in an additional sub area. And as far as the zoning in progress is a notice to property owners. Certainly, the commission could proceed forward without a zoning in progress, but what that does is it changes, essentially the notice to property owners, and makes it so that you have up until the effective date of the resolution or the ordinances to get in a completed application and proceed under the previous code, rather than a zoning in progress providing that notice now moving forward.
Thank you, Zach.
All right, Commissioner Caldwell, I see you're on there. Are you okay with me coming back to you after public comment? Sure. Just because I'm sure that some of the residents want to speak. City Clerk, and then when that's done, I'll come back to you before we go for a vote.
J. Christy Wilson.
Just let them know.
If you want to come to this podium right here.
I was talking to that.
There we go. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission. My name is J. Christy Wilson III. I'm an attorney with offices at 601 North Fern Creek Avenue in Orlando, Florida. I am here on behalf of a number of property owners who have a combined investment in this city of over $17 million. One of our projects was Halifax Hospital, which I think is a benefit to this community. And we're here to object to this process. I've heard sitting here, I have over 40 years of experience in property rights, inverse condemnation, Burt Harris, and a number of other statutory provisions. Make no mistake about it. If you adopt this today, it is a moratorium because it has the same impacts as a moratorium. And the initial term is 120 days, but you can extend it. And your attorney is telling you you shouldn't extend it more than 6 months. but there's no provision that says you can't. This could go on for years. Now, I know your intent is to work on this, but in the meantime, my clients' properties are in limbo. Some of them they have vested rights on, others they don't. And they are deprived of the use of those other properties while you debate these issues. There are other provisions other than Burt Harris with respect to vested rights. There are other provisions under 163 where a trial court can even conduct a de novo review of your actions and determine whether or not they depress property values. There is an inverse condemnation remedy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Lori Warnicki, please.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, you know I don't normally comment during public comment. I just wanted to flag, this is not a moratorium. This is a zoning in progress. Sir, we spoke before this hearing and directed you to the case law which is referenced in this resolution. So I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to look at it, but these are two cases from 1972, 73 and 76, which makes clear that when there's a reasonable amount of time, which consistently case law has found that 6 months or thereabouts is a reasonable amount of time, it is not a moratorium. So I hear you, but I just want to be clear that we flagged this to you. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to read these cases, but we respectfully disagree. This is very much a zoning in progress and not a moratorium.
May I answer?
No, so
okay.
it's
Thank
guys,
I see there's due process.
please. So this is not a courtroom, so we're not doing it's public comment. Can I ask, is it okay with staff if I move the clock just a little bit over so I can keep track of the time, please? Other way. Perfect, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Also, how many public comments do we have on this item?
9.
Okay. Go ahead, next. No, I just need to see the time. I can move myself towards you.
Good morning. My name's Lori Warnicki, and I'm representing the Collins community. And first and foremost, I want to thank Nick for his work. I want to thank Davison for his work, city staff. You guys have been phenomenal. Next on the agenda, I would like all my pie peeps, quote, Collins community people to please raise your hand. You guys turn around and look at that, please. Thank you. I'm here because we want to maintain our rural character and allow more agriculture. Not necessarily, some people may want to have some cows to grow and harvest for themselves. We might have a few beekeepers in the neighborhood, or maybe just have a pony for the grandkids to come over and ride. But we want to maintain the character. 0 lot line houses are not our character. Our community is a true community. We even have Collins Road Community Pie Night. Once a month we meet together. Commissioners, mayors, anybody's invited to come see how we live. We live like we grew up. We know each other's children. We keep track of their children. People that live in our neighborhood have come from Longwood, Lake Mary, and Orlando to get away from the 0 lot line living on top of each other, hearing your neighbor next door yelling and screaming. Our neighbors are good neighbors, but we keep a good distance apart. For 20 years, 21 to be honest, in 2001, I started this fight. I have a file box as big full of how many times I've been in front of you people. None of you are still here. I started fighting this fight in 2004. I have never let go. People had started the fight before me.
Kathy Bryan, please.
Thank you.
Mayor, could we remind people that the time limit's less today?
Go ahead.
Just a reminder that for a special meeting, it's 2 minutes and not 4. I know some people are surprised.
Ready? Okay. Good morning, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. I'd like to remind the commission that the moratorium that was put in place back, I can't remember the years, was started out when Mr. Peters was city manager. The commission fired him. Chisholm came in, and nothing got done because there was such an overturn. So it is up to you guys, when the complaint is that, well, we had this moratorium, nothing got done, that was the responsibility of the commission. So it's up to you guys to follow up, number one. Number two, Commissioner Lowley, thank you so much for doing this. I would love to see these in other areas in every district, to have these. They're so important. So far as commercial goes, there's ecotourism. Bring people here. I've been out to Reed Ellis. I've hiked out there. It's gorgeous. So it doesn't have to be your typical big city commercialism that you put in there, and let people go canoe, hike, whatever, and look at things that you could build around that and have that there. But if I was living on a big piece of property and somebody bought the property or whatever next to me and wanted to develop it, and it was zoned agricultural, rural, whatever, you bought it like that. You're taking a gamble. Just because you want higher density doesn't mean it has to be given. So, and that's, again, up to the commission. I'm tired of hearing, oh, you could get sued. Not if you do it right. Not if you do it right. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Willow Board.
I'm going to remind the audience, we have people, their names are being called. I understand that this is a very emotional situation right now, but I need to be able to hear the person who's speaking, because it is a right to speak, and I need to be hear who's being called up, and so does the person that's being called up. So if we can please hold off on applauses, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Willow Bordner.
Yes, Willow Bordner. I live off of 650 Riggs, so I'm right across from Collins, where they're planning to develop. And I have to say thank you, too, by getting the ball rolling. I know maybe it's not the correct way, but it's the way to get it moving quick. So, and this application has been, or they're trying to rezone this property, and we've talked about the issues with Vineland. Braintree will be a lot worse than that. You know, this is, I don't know, I haven't seen any commissioners. I mean, I've seen commissioners out there, but I haven't seen anybody walking that property. Like, come out there and walk that property. You'll see that it's an entire pit that they want to backfill, put all these houses on that are then going to settle and break apart, and it'll be a big disaster. So if, you know, we need to stop this now, and I'm totally for this overlay, because there are certain areas that they do need to be protected, and this is one of them. But I also think that they need to be per area. You know, every area is different, and there's this one needs to be treated for its character that it has. But anyway, for the overlay, and thank you for all that y'all have done. I appreciate that. It's made a big difference.
Randy Priest, please.
Good morning, Randy Priest, Collins Community. Thank you for taking your time and hard work to prepare this overlay for not only our community, but others as well. I moved to Collins Road for the quiet way of life. I don't mind new neighbors, but a whole town within my community is not the way of life I would like to live. Keeping zoning the way it is will help our neighborhood keep it small and tight-knit like it currently is. I want my children to grow up in a neighborhood with a slower pace of life. I also want them to grow up as safe as possible. Leaving this open for rezoning leaves us open for development like what we currently have in front of us, the Vineland Reserve. More homes, more crimes, more flooding, and etc. If anyone can be helped today, please help our Collins community. Thank you.
Catherine O'Brien, please.
It's not funny. I took a shot.
Hi, my name is Catherine O'Brien. I live at 694 Riggs Avenue. I own property at 692 Riggs Avenue. We've been out there since 1981. When that pit where they're going to put Braintree, I originally come up to Volusia County and told them we need to stop the pit then. I worked on that project for over 2 years before it finally went into bankruptcy. There's nothing there but a big hole. They dug out dirt for several years, and now you're wanting to bring all that dirt back in and put houses on top of it. What is this going to do to our agricultural, our rural homes, and the homes that you would put on it? Are they going to sink, and then we've got a lawsuit that the city of Deltona is going to have to pay for again because people's houses are sinking because here you've dug out all that dirt and now you're putting it all back in? Takes time for all that. We lived out here, like I said, since 1981, and now we've got 0 lot lines less than a quarter of a mile from my house. The pit is less than 600 foot from my house, and you're wanting to put more homes, and all it's going to do is cause those people that are back down at the bottom of that pit for their homes to flood. We're just asking you to please take the longtime residents' way of life into your vote. We're asking you to please no more making smaller home zoning. We like it to stay rural, agricultural, whatever it needs to be. And I'm sorry I'm not prepared for this today. I've been in the hospital a lot with my husband, so I'm sorry if it don't come out proper.
Rob Trombetta, please.
You said it perfectly.
Rob Trombetta, Deltona. I saw this and I didn't understand what was going on. So I called my commissioner. I called a couple of other commissioners to get there to try to educate me on this project. And guys, as I look at this, I mean, you say you're for all of those 6 of those things. I think the argument is separate it or don't separate it. I can't understand why you would worry about separating it now. It appears to me that all they're saying is, this resolution says, let's just begin the conversation. Well, that's all it is. It's to start saying, well, what about this one? What about that one? What if we don't want this Collins? We want to do something different. When you, in my opinion, when you start talking about different areas, it sounds to me like there are different concerns of special groups in one area versus another. So let's break out this area because somebody wants something special in that area. And that's my concern. It smells a little fishy to me. I'll be honest with you. It smells fishy that let's just say I don't trust that part of the process. I just don't. I think pass this as it is, have all your meetings you want. You could discuss it ad nauseum. Change it, change whatever you want to do, and come up with a final solution. When we talked about smart, this is smart development. This is the epitome of smart development. Thank you.
David Sosa, please.
Maybe the word more about getting your shit done instead of being flat.
You can direct the commission.
All right. Wasn't planning to speak today, but listening to a few of this. Nick, thank you very much. I think this is what the community of Deltona needed. Now, that being said, do we need to part this out into 3 different pieces? Absolutely not. This is an overview of how things should be done for each of these areas, okay? Will everything in this process apply to each of these areas? Absolutely not. But will some of it apply? It most definitely will. So are we willing to throw everything out right now today because not everything on this agenda meets every specific thing? The only thing I'm a little disappointed in is lack of communication. That's your city manager. If you guys didn't get the information, blame him. Don't blame Nick. If Nick had it a week or 2 ago, then it's the city manager's responsibility to get you guys the information, because if Nick gets it to you, that's a sunshine violation, and we don't need any more legal fees, do we, Avila? So please don't clap, because I don't want him to escort you guys out. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, this is something that is time sensitive, because for those who don't know, we have SB 1118, which the state is going to basically take away any home rule for your development rights. So this needs to be taken care of in somewhat of a timely manner. It can't be kicked down the road. Otherwise, we end up with the same thing. Oh, previous commission, previous commission. You know, it's either something we do today or we don't do today. Okay? Now, the Collins Road, that's a disaster. If you guys approve a thing over there, that's just a disaster. That is a borrow pit. Many residents have spoke about it. I've been over there. You cannot fill that place and put 100 houses in there. I'm a little disappointed in the D6 because you have the D, or in the over there by the D Ranch, because you have the Cove Estates. I wish that map would have gone further over to the east from
Thank you.
where it goes over to 415.
Suzanne Shirer, please.
It's on city boundary. I'll suck to be part of that past commission.
Sucks to be part of this one.
No, this is
We don't have quitters in this one, that's for sure.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne Shirer with Dream Green Volusia. I want to address all of you as a team since that term was used. I'm a little shocked today because this is a resolution. It's not an ordinance. It's a resolution to start a discussion, which was said numerous times, and the word encourage is used in it. How do you start a discussion if you stop the discussion before it starts? I just want to address the situation with the Burt J. Harris. Burt J. Harris is not only to protect landowners, it's to protect the city. It's only as good as your comprehensive plan and your zoning code. So you're basically told us in so many words that your zoning code currently isn't working. So why not go the opposite direction and start the discussion to fix an area of your city with a resolution that's trying to start the discussion? Now, you have wide-scale flooding. A lot of cities in Volusia County do. Can't this help? I'm asking. I think it can. I think you all think it can. So if you're trying to start the discussion to break out the three, then start the discussion today with a resolution. Then you can progress, zoning in progress to get to the point you need to get to. Thank you.
James McCulley Jr., please.
Jim McCulley, I live at 920 Gage Avenue. I'm here for the fish hawk portion. But this covers, and Nick, Ms. Vasquez, thank you for your support in this area. This is an area that concerns all of Deltona. What I heard today is discouragement, concerns. What I hear is an ego problem and lack of communication. If you don't start a discussion because you don't like the guidelines, then we're going to have another meeting. And it keeps going and going and going. It's time to stop. Get the ball rolling. You may not get everything you want, but at least we'll get something. Because this is where we live. And we do have the right to expect that the property that we buy will stay that way, as opposed to rezoning, which I thought we were stopping, and putting in high density in rural areas. It's a mistake. You need to get the ball rolling. Pass this resolution.
Tamara Manley, please.
Good morning, I'm Tamara Manley. I live at Cove Estates in Osteen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Our community is actually surrounded by Little Lake. Little Lake has no outlet. It's kind of like Vegas. What flows into Little Lake stays there for weeks and weeks and weeks. If you're from Cove Estates, please raise your hand. A good third of the audience we brought with us today. We don't want to have to wade through ankle-deep water. If the Reed Ellis property is developed, I'm sorry for the clients that own it that don't have use of it, but if they get use of it, we won't have use of our homes. I just want you to please go with this today and give us a chance to not have to buy pontoon boats to live in. Thank you.
That ends public comment.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Colwell, then Vice Mayor Harriet, then we'll go for a vote.
I agree with everything everybody's saying out there.
Just speak louder into the mic.
I agree with what's being said out there. I do agree with this overlay. However, though, I would, like to see it subdivided into sections, and I'd be more than happy to be behind this. With that said, I just want to reiterate, I am a fan of this project.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Harriet?
Before Vice Mayor, Mr. Mayor, if I may, we just want to clarify, in hearing all the discussion and the public comment, the zoning in progress will allow for the creation of sub-areas. And once those sub-areas are created, they can, say for example, let's say, for example, the agritourism only makes sense in the Collins Road sub-area, and that's determined by the planning consultant and the planning staff and working with the attorneys, and we create a Collins Road sub-area. It can have that characteristic only there, and the other sub-areas do not have to have it. So we do not have to make an amendment today to this resolution to have sub-areas during the zoning. It is helpful for us to know as we work, and certainly I don't want to speak for Jordan, but that is your intent. So if you all make that clear in this discussion, that will inform the work. And certainly we would encourage the motion to make clear that there will be workshops so that these discussions can be had. But I just wanted to clarify that. So we don't have to amend the resolution to have sub-areas. If during the zoning in progress it becomes apparent by recommendation of the commission, by recommendation of the planning staff, by recommendation of the planning consultant that sub-areas are needed and they need to have distinct characteristics, within these 6, but maybe potentially carved out, that is permitted, and we would not need to make an amendment today, just so you all know.
Vice Mayor Harriet?
So is there a way in the motion to require that these 3 sub areas or areas come back as individual comp plan amendments? If we could accomplish that in the motion today, then I can 100% support this today. I just want to ensure that they come back as individual comp plan amendments and not lumped together.
Commissioner Lully, your recommendation.
Thank you. I think that would be okay if Commissioner Vila-Vasquez was okay with amending. I could withdraw and her amend it. And my recommendation would be, so you had said, Commissioner, I hereby move to approve Resolution 2025-48 for the zoning projects to keep Deltona Wild District overlay. And then if we can maybe add on to the end of it, and direct staff to
subdivide,
to bring the comp plan amendments
subdivide the comprehensive plan amendments for consideration at future
workshops,
workshops, and public meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a lot.
I know. Did you get all that, Jordan?
Yes, they did.
We've got Jordan.
Mr. Mayor, just clarification. I just want to inform the commission that any application that is currently in that's been deemed complete will still come forward to the commission.
Yeah.
So just want to make sure that those property owners are aware that we're not going to hold those up.
Right.
So I will amend my motion to say everything that Commissioner Lally said.
We can't do it like
Do you want to just withdraw and I'll make it?
Yeah, if that would be.
Okay,
as a
and I can
Yes,
second
okay,
it. There
good.
you
So
go.
then we're still, yeah, okay. So I withdrew my second, you withdrew your motion, so.
I did.
Okay.
You withdrew it for me, but yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's do this. So I hereby move to approve resolution number 2025-48 for the zoning in progress for the Keep Deltona Wild Overlay District, and direct staff to subdivide the comprehensive plan amendments by the 3 areas and bring that back for consideration at future meetings, workshops, and public meetings.
Second.
It's a motion by Commissioner Lully, second by, I was about to say Vice Commissioner Avila Vasquez. If I can please have the attorney reread the resolution, and then we'll go ahead and.
Does that make it clear that these comp plan amendments will come back individually by area and not lumped together? Is that clear to staff?
Is that the intent of your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Staff, good? We are good.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Resolution number 2025-48, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, relating to zoning in progress to establish the Keep Deltona Wild Overlay District, to encourage low-impact residential development, protect environmentally sensitive lands, preserve biodiversity, preserve and encourage agrarian communities, and promote ecotourism and agritourism activities within certain unique areas of the City of Deltona, determining that applications for development orders and development agreements shall be subject to the zoning in progress, providing for legislative findings recognizing zoning in progress, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
Okay, if we can please vote. Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. We're going to go ahead and move to resolution number 2025-49. If we can please have the city attorney read the resolution so we can start voting. Let's give him 2 minutes.
Mayor, real quick, I also want to thank Commissioner Lully for bringing this forward. I think as the district commissioner, this is well needed, and I look forward to hopefully adding some areas in District 1 to a similar overlay.
Absolutely.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much for 9:15.
I'm going to step away for a second and go hug my grandma goodbye.
Oh, that's why you were passionate today. Are we? Are we not allowed to turn these off?
No. Because to avoid sunshine, even though it's a public notice. Ditto.
I need like a cup that I can see.
Let's do this.
Turn it away.
What are you guys bringing in for dinner?
Steak and cream.
1 additional minute, so we'll start by that clock at, well, I can't read that clock, so 10:37.
10:36.
I know, we'll start at 10:37. I can't read that clock.
10:37 on that one.
Oh, well, I can read this one. They changed the colors.
You can't see blue.
But it's actually 10:30.
I don't know why. They all used to be the same color. I think it was red and I could read it, but that blue I can't read.
Never noticed.
It's blurry. All right.
Noticed all the clocks were.
We're going to go ahead and get started with Section B. If you, City Attorney, can please read the resolution.
Thank you so much. This is resolution number 2025-49, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, relating to zoning in progress to study and amend the activity center overlay, permitted uses, mix of uses, density/intensity, and architectural design to establish a walkable, mixed-use environment that includes a diverse mix of retail, dining, lodging, and housing options, determining that applications for development orders and development agreements shall be subject to the zoning in progress, providing for legislative findings recognizing zoning in progress, providing for conflicts, severability, and an effective date.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-49.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Santiago. We have Vice Mayor Harriet, then Commissioner Santiago, then Commissioner Lally.
I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner Santiago?
I'm good too. I was just going to make the motion.
Commissioner Lally.
Okay. The reason why I was laughing at the last one was because this one came up really quick. So I was like, that's ironic. Can I just get an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here? Because the way I understood the activity center overlay is that it allowed a great variety of conditions. Now, I heard maybe that there's some issues with the ratio of what's allowed, but I just wanted to ensure the goal here was not to open this up to single-family residential use. So if I could just get information or someone knows something.
Commissioner, so the current regulations allow a mix of uses out there, but they do not require a mix of uses, and they do not incentivize the creation of a walkable community out there. So that would be the intent of this zoning in progress. And so we're looking for, of course, multifamily, commercial, hotels, restaurants.
So is the concern that the rest of the activity center could be like the world's biggest Amazon warehouse? I'm just trying to figure out the...
I mean, we've already got 2 of them out there, so I think that's a concern that I have.
Okay, so the concern is that it will keep being industrial. Is that, I'm just trying to, because I feel like there must be a project in mind here that is the impetus for this, to have a special meeting on this. I'm just trying to figure it out.
The concern is to look at all the uses out there and to come back to the commission with required mixed uses that the commission would like to see out there. That's the purpose of the study.
Do you know how many applications do we have within the activity center?
We have one application in Synergy at Normandy.
It's the Synergy. So
which will still come before the commission on the second meeting in April.
Okay. May I ask the group, so single-family residential is not allowed inside the activity center now?
Correct. Single-family residential, multifamily is.
Multi.
Correct.
Is the intent here to allow single-family residential use?
The intent, and just full disclosure, I actually got clear consensus, so I don't know why it's a surprise that it came up. I guess they try to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but for a zoning in progress on this, to specifically help us get out of the warehouse business and help create the feel of a downtown, specifically with mixed use. Both of the times that I've asked consensus, which I received unanimously, I was very clear-cut in what I wanted, right? So the commission can, as a whole, have their input on this. But the intent is not to build a bunch of houses, which surprising that you would say that, because you know very well how I feel about more and more housing. We're running out of space in the city, and this is probably the last piece of land that we can probably go ahead and say, hey, and I did speak to a lot of the property owners that own these properties, and I told them, speak to the other 6, but what I like to see, instead of more warehouses, gas stations, because we know we don't have enough of those, would be some nice sit-down restaurants, higher paying jobs, so places that actually would benefit from a downtown ideal area. So that was my intent, and that's what the initial consensus was, to give the authority for staff, city manager, to look at some type of an overlay, to then come back and so we can get together as a team and work on that. So did you want to add anything else?
I think you summed it up perfectly. I think the only thing I would add is the original intent when the Southwest Activity Center was developed, it was to, if you're familiar with Seminole County, the Heathrow DRI over there, that was the original intent. And as the years went by, the city abandoned the DRI. They added multifamily to the activity center, and it's just, over the years, it's just been built on an ad hoc basis. So this is a chance for staff to take a step back and bring some bunch of uses to the commission that to create a more walkable environment for the city.
So much like Keep Deltona Wild, the actual comp plan amendments will be brought back to us. Just want to make sure that's for the public, everyone understands that.
Yes.
For weighing in. Okay.
Everything will be brought back to the commission for, yes.
I think my final question for now, is there a, I would love to hear on the record, like, what would be, I mean, I guess you said one, you said Heathrow. Are there any other examples that you guys, like, of what this might be, what you're trying to...
Similar?
Yeah, thank you. You're more concise. What are we angling to make it be like?
One example is Colonial Town Park.
Okay.
So that's the vision, and we will definitely get a consultant on board to do a downtown master plan.
You know, that's all you had to say, because their Publix has a Starbucks in it, so I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, it's like the only Publix I've been to.
Should
where
have
there's-
started with Starbucks.
Right, I know. See, I wouldn't even have to open my mic. So, okay, I think that addresses it for now. Thank you.
I also want
Vice
to...
Mayor, you're up next, so you can add to whatever. So you don't get to speak twice.
Perfect. I don't want to speak more than I need to. I would also like if there is is now the opportunity, do we want to discuss what we each are looking for out of this now? Or no? Okay.
That will come afterwards.
Perfect. I would also like that we can, within this process, have another workshop to discuss what we would all like to see out of the activity center. It's such a large area. I do think that we've already started industrial in one area, so there's no reason to have two retail commercial split with industrial in the middle. But I would also, my intent of the motion is to make sure that we have a workshop to discuss this before we see a comp plan amendment. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Howington, then Commissioner Santiago.
So, looking at the existing map, it looks like we have a lot of BPUD, IPUD. There's a couple little spots of residential in there. I think that that's where the synergy piece is. I guess I'm trying to understand, are we trying to increase density with adding mixed use? Because if I'm not mistaken, mixed use would include apartments and things like that, correct?
So some of the PUDs that are existing right now do have entitlements for multifamily right now.
But how much will we be looking to, if we go and just blanket this with mixed use? I mean, do we not allow restaurants and other commercial in those areas today?
We encourage it, but we do not require the mix of uses. That's the issue. And that's the reason why the activity center is developed the way it's developed thus far.
Yeah. Lack of planning.
Correct.
But we have an overlay in place today, correct?
We have an activity overlay in place today, and it is staff's recommendation to open that back up and take a look at those uses.
So the handout that we received this morning, how does this play into what is happening? Because, I mean, honestly, I feel blind about this. Like, I just saw this. I saw this map. We have business. We have industrial. I mean, if we could get a great industrial location to come into town, that would really help us with taxes. Are we looking at taking away industrial? What's happening here? I'm not sure what we're trying to do.
And that's going to be part of the overlay study that we're going to be bringing back to the commission.
With a consultant.
That's going to be correct, yes. And this presentation that you're given this morning will be given this afternoon.
And so the land that's been sitting fairly vacant now for, what?
Vacant.
10, 15, 20 years, are we concerned that in the next 120 days we're going to have a mad dash of people coming in to turn in applications that may not fit our future requirements?
I am. I'll speak for myself, but I yes.
Is the city aware of anything pending outside of Synergy?
I'm not aware of anything pending at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Santiago.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is just to get a step further into having a sense of community, having a downtown area, and make it specific with getting more commercial base, which we desperately need. I think this is a great, just like keeping Deltona wild, well, we need commercial. commercial. And this is going to help with the zoning. It's going to help to talk about it, to bring more family-friendly dining, restaurant, something that the city and the community needs. This is the step forward. So I urge my commissioners to approve it. Let's move forward. Let's discuss it. Let's start doing a downtown Deltona, which everyone's been asking for how many years?
Most of us campaigned on too, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Vice Mayor Harriet?
I also want to just point out and maybe clarify that when we refer to it's a little bit different than the way that other downtowns look. Well, I am not advocating for a downtown Orlando. I do not want high rises. I do not want all of that. This is purely retail, commercial, walkability, family friendly, things that you can go to and spend the afternoon and you can enjoy a couple hours with your family and then stop by and get dinner before you go home. So I think that that's important to clarify that we're not talking about an high rise downtown, but more of a center of commerce where families can go and enjoy an afternoon and sit down and have a nice meal.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez?
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. My first question is, we know that we have Howland Boulevard, which is county, so that we're going to be bringing in the county on these plans as well to discuss the development and stuff like that of restaurants. And just on the top of my head, how much vacant land do we have for these plans? I mean, driving down Howland Boulevard in that area, seems like everything is being built on something, or something is being built on what's empty right there. So where are we looking to develop these new restaurants?
If you have the map of the activity center in your book, it's the southern portion of the activity center.
It's by the Frank DeMarche property?
Behind it.
Behind Frank DeMarche's property. Correct.
And the Rhode Island extension is still in plans, or is that taking that plan out?
No, Rhode Island extension is crucial to the development. You need the infrastructure there for this to be successful, and staff is working with the consultant to do a design and concept study for the Rhode Island extension.
So this is going to be more or less behind the Deltona High School, or around the area of Deltona High School?
It would be behind the second Amazon building that was just built.
Deltona High School. Okay, so, all right.
Yes.
How much property do we have? Well, how much property is there available, because it's not ours?
Commissioner, I'm not sure of the acreage, but it's pretty much anything that that's not already a PUD on it. So the green and the yellow, that would be the area we'd be looking at.
So it's more or less going to be like Heathrow. What you're saying is like the Heathrow in only one little square.
Colonial Town Park.
I've never been there, but
That's just an example. But when we get a consultant on board, we would look at different communities to see what would be the best fit for Deltona.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lully, Commissioner Howington, then we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. This is only half related, but I can't talk to other commissioners outside of a meeting. This is also an area, Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, where I believe you had this is where you had the concerns with the pedestrians.
Correct.
We, just so you know, I've been working as the TPO and Vice Mayor and all that. We did submit, the city did, Phyllis did, so thank you, Phyllis, the application to study.
Yes, Phyllis did send it out to us.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Just want to let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Howington, we'll do public comment, and then we'll come back to you, Commissioner Santiago.
Colonial Town Square.
Your mic is off, Commissioner Howington.
Colonial Town Square. So is that vertical or horizontal as far as the mixed use?
It is vertical.
It's vertical?
Yes.
Where is that located on the property? Because I'm drawing a blank when thinking about where that would be.
I'm not understanding your question, Commissioner.
I'm trying to picture the actual shopping center and the entire mixed-use area.
On the eastern edge, and the eastern and northern edges have the vertical.
Vice Mayor, the microphone.
Oh, you're talking about the residential portion?
Yes.
Yeah.
The residential, it's to the east of the movie theater.
Okay, yeah, because I'm sorry, I'm very hung up on are we adding residential into this through the use of mixed use? Because mixed use is going to include dwellings, whether you want to call them apartments, homes, houses, tiny houses, I don't care, it's dwellings. People live there, correct? So we're going to be increasing beyond what we have today if we start adding mixed use to this area. And we're at our cups limit, correct? I'm trying to look at this as a big picture. I get we're trying to add restaurants, but there's nothing within our current overlay that doesn't allow that. Is that correct?
So, Commissioner Howington, the current regulations already allow for multifamily residential. I think we can certainly take the direction that we wouldn't want to necessarily increase above current entitlements or the current level of multifamily residential allowed in the overlay in general. But there is currently multifamily residential is an allowable use within the activity center.
And just to segue on what Zach just said, so back in 2007, the commission approved a multifamily component to this TRIDO, which was between 8 to 20 dwelling units per acre for the activity center. So
Commissioner Howington, if I may, is there a requirement that these multifamily units be part of mixed use, or are they allowed to just take a parcel and you develop multifamily currently?
In the end, that's going to be the commission's decision.
Okay, so that's really what we're talking about, is they're currently allowed to use this for multifamily. One of the components of this zoning in progress will be to discuss requiring that multifamily include mixed use. Instead of just apartments, it requires that commercial component to be involved as well.
Okay, I'm just concerned about increasing the entitlements. That's where I get really hung up, because we just don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the impact fees, we don't have the ability at this point in time, and to put a restriction of 120 days to get all that figured out is concerning. If the intent is to go above and beyond the entitlements that are currently allowed.
No, I think I share that sentiment with you exactly and specifically. It's requiring the commercial mixed use piece to be included so that it's not only and not just high density or multifamily. Okay. Because right now multifamily is allowable.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And is this the only location that we've targeted for a potential downtown?
In our afternoon workshop, we can discuss other locations for a possible downtown, but the purpose of this is to get an overlay done for the activity center so we can begin this process.
So then should we have done something similar to where we would have included other areas?
Existing.
Well, yeah, we have an existing overlay there.
Staff is, in the afternoon discussion, staff is working with other property owners, and then we have our consultant here for this afternoon to discuss those possible downtown locations.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. So in listening to the commission, we just wanted to suggest this. As part of the zoning in progress, we could arrange a tour to see 1, 2, or 3 comparable projects that we believe would be inspirational within the spirit of Deltona, its history, its makeup, its needs, to allow you an opportunity to see it in action, maybe one that's 15, 20, 30 years old, or even 8 years old, just so you can see how it's developed, so you can see how you want it done, because we really don't have we don't have it here right now. And so it's hard to visualize, but there are communities with like similar size, background, density, who have successfully created very nice downtowns that are mixed use with a reasonable, 3 or 4 story vertical nature, that have and create, I don't know why there's that weird echo, that have that live, work, play. Obviously that first floor mixed use requiring non-residential allows for job creation. So there are, we believe, a good number of communities that are comparable, and we could arrange and facilitate working with the manager's office in Jordan to take you all on a tour to see it, and with the consultant as well, so we could visually see it, and we'll keep you all separated so you can't discuss it with each other, but we'll have a staff member or an attorney with each of you so you guys can see it and we can talk about it in real time, and that way you can bring the things that you like and that you don't like to the staff member or consultant or a lawyer who's with you, and then we can come together during the zoning in progress to really create something that meets your vision.
Do you need that as part of the motion?
You could just say, and all that stuff that the city attorney just said.
If he does that, then Joyce is going to grab my gavel and throw it at you.
I'm going to do it, though. And all that stuff that the city attorney just said. Would there
hold on.
also...
Before we start going out of the line, I'll get back to you, I promise. Let's go to public comment, like I said, and then we'll go through the board again. So,
just so we're clear, there'll be no party bus.
I mean, if we put you on a bus, you'll each have that like special mouth tape that they sell for snorers.
We could just notice it
and AirPods in your ears. Yeah, that's right. We could notice the bus. No, we'll get you all there. But yeah, I think it will be. I'm a big fan of never reinventing the wheel, right? Like, let's see who's doing it awesome, and let's do what they're doing. So I think there are some communities, who've just done it in the recent past, who Jordan knows of, we know of, that I know Robin and Doc know of some that we think would bring some things that you all would look at and say, oh, I like that. I like the way that's laid out. I like the setbacks that they have so they can have on-street dining, outdoor dining. I think there's just a lot of interesting characteristics that some of these places have done that would be helpful as you think about it, just visually, more than just looking at pictures and going through Google Earth.
Go ahead, Joyce.
J. Christie.
Just want to remind the gentleman that we've got 2 minutes for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know that the first time around. My comments are the same, and by the way, I have read the cases your attorney flagged from 1972. There's a lot of other bodies of case law since then, but I am aware of that, and we do object. We don't know what we're getting out of this. There is an overlay now that we've been living under and working with, and we object to this process because it puts us in a position, and we don't know how long it's going to go on. 120, I've heard today, how are we going to do this in 120 days? So we do have a concern about the process, particularly not knowing what the outcome is going to be, and not having any real input in that outcome. That outcome is going to be determined around this table with your consultants. We're a major player in this area, and I haven't heard any processes where we would be approached and involved in that discussion. So we do have a major concern, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Would it be okay if we got the gentleman's, who he's representing?
Yes, I'm sorry. I said that.
Through the mayor.
I think I'm still within my 2 minutes. I represent, the major owner is Trafalgar, that is within the overlay area. We were part of the property that the hospital's on now, and we have major holdings in that area. So that's the major property owner that I represent there is Trafalgar Holdings.
Scott Banta. After that's going to be Kathy Bryan and Lori Warnicki.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to address you. I'm Scott Banta. I represent 1111 North Ronald Reagan Boulevard in Longwood. I represent Warranty Parts Solution. We have Synergy at Normandy. We control we own the 36 acres that front Normandy, which is the westerly side of the activities. A couple of points that I wanted to make for you.
Your mic is off, sir.
It turned off, I think, automatically.
Light is green.
Is that there?
Nope. No.
We've got staff on the way.
That work? There we go. Okay, there's several things. Colonial Town Center, which is nice, and we'll talk about that this afternoon, has about a mile frontage on 46A. That's a direct access to I-4, which is nice, but also there's big office buildings, et cetera, in the back that are 4 and 6 stories, which I don't think is going to be representative of what your town center is going to be. 2, the area in question that's east of me, including us, is approximately 216 acres. You have about 2,600 properties owned by somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 different property owners. And I would imagine that those owners would want to know what's going on with this. I just found out about this meeting yesterday at noon. And also, there's concerns on the apartments within the activity center, which is 800 acres. The former commission voted to approve 120 acres or 15% of the activity center to be apartments. I think it's important for you to know that what we're proposing, which is not part of this discussion, our tax base on per acre will be about $3,200,000 an acre. Just for example, Amazon's paying $800,000 an acre. The Publix is paying $900,000 an acre, and a typical single-family residential acre in Deltona pays somewhere between $1 million and $1.2 million. So when you think about the apartments and the live, work, and play, which was part of the activity center,
thank you, Mr. Van.
The apartments are extremely high value. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to clarify, this meeting was noticed prior to yesterday. So there was public notice in our normal fashion for these meetings.
Thank you.
Kathy Bryan.
Good morning, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. Demographics. That's one of the biggest things and things you need to think about when you're talking about a downtown area, bringing in more restaurants, bringing in more commercial. And, you know, I hear restaurant, but until you have your lunch crowds and your dinner crowds on a consistent basis, you're not going to have them. You ask the restaurant owners. We had a presentation on it at a commission meeting one evening about demographics for getting that type of thing here. Industrial, maybe you don't like a warehouse, but some of these things are important to bring in those lunch crowds, those dinner crowds. The other thing is infrastructure. It sucks out there. That weave pattern that comes at Graves and Howland is horrible. A lot of wrecks, and the busier it gets, the worse it's going to be. You've got your high schoolers there. So I'm glad you brought up Rhode Island, because that was one of the things I was going to talk about. That kind of stuff, looking at that, getting the county involved, needs to start happening now. You can look at this what you want, all you want, but until the traffic, and I told Laura Warnicki that it's going to affect Osteen, because when you're going to put that many people and have that much traffic all going down I-4 because they don't have jobs here, guess what the back way is through Osteen? I had to go that way the other day. The other thing is, consider smaller activity centers. I don't want to drive from way over the other side of Deltona to get to this side of Deltona. Maybe Sanford is closer, might not be Deltona. And parking, that's another thing to consider. Parking and shade. If you're going to go down and walk around in the middle of the summer, it gets hot. And I definitely agree with building up, not out. less impervious area that way, right? So, the other thing is you've got the hospital there, you've got opportunities for offices, medical facilities, light medical stuff that you can also bring in tax money and get your lunch crowds.
Lori Warnicki, please.
Lori Warnicki, 655 Deltona Boulevard. First and foremost, I really appreciate everybody in front of me working together. I have never seen in the 20 years I've been coming here as many people working together to better the community. And I'm just going to emphasize a little bit on the lunch crowd. You need the professional businesses to have a lunch crowd. All the guys building these houses that everybody wants to build, they're going to Wawa and the Roach Coach. So until we get professional buildings, we're not going to have the lunch crowd. So, and again, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I feel so much better coming to these meetings. Thank you.
Roach Coach. I love it. Haven't heard that in a long time.
Matt Bergens, and then Terry Ellis.
A couple years.
It's been a few years.
Good morning. So this was brought up about in 2003, 2004, and the commissioners then went to the cities and visited and looked at other cities and the downtown areas. And now we're doing it again. So this is, again, we're repeating and doing the same thing. I believe that is actually David Santiago that went around and did this. So now we're, again, doing the same thing to do the same overlay. The center that's out there, I tried doing meetings out there, and I have to go down physically and book appointments to do events. I can't get them on the phone, so we can't even get events to go down there, and we're trying to get businesses in down there. So we can't get businesses to go down there, and we want to bring more businesses. There's already apartments down there being built, so how are we supposed to stop apartments being built without this here? So we're already being more houses without an overlay like this. So how are we going to stop something like that? So that's some of the things we need to address if we're going to do something like this. So we're, again, repeating the same thing over and over, trying to fix something that we can't even address back in 2003, 2004. So I agree with Dory with trying to stop the apartments if they're already being built, and if we're trying to get more businesses. If that's the goal there, Mayor, if we want more businesses, then we need to look at preventing the apartments and those type of houses there. So I have to say thank you.
Terry Ellis.
Hi, Terry Ellis. I just wanted to bring up that we have a Gallery of Villages strategic plan, and I guess along the way, I'd like to get some clarification about, are we following that or are we scrapping that? I think that we need to have that conversation. Secondly, that whole activity center area, it seems to me that it was put in place and we really haven't done a lot of activity on it. And it's great that we're looking at it now, but my concern is that it seems to me like there's a lot of meetings that need to happen. There's a lot of looking at this and considering that and all the things that Kathy brought up. And so are we going to see some workshops scheduled in the future specifically for the activity center? And then lastly, maybe it's a good idea that we get away from downtown, because it seems to me like we're trying to plan for activity centers or town centers, or I think the word downtown throws a lot of folks off. So maybe reconsider using that term. Thank you.
That ends public comment.
It's a town center.
Okay, Commissioner Santiago, then Commissioner Lully, Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and Vice Mayor Harriet, and then we'll do a vote.
Just wanted to reiterate again about, I know the subject keeps coming up about students in high school and safety. I want to assure everyone here that that is a priority as the activity center in the Howland area continues to bring commercial, continues to get improvements. It is very important to me that those students are safe. I appreciate Commissioner Lully for submitting the TPO project that Phyllis submitted. Thank you, Phyllis, on behalf of the city. I also want to say that I've been believe it or not, I've been in contact with our county representative, and he is going to submit a request as they are improving that Howland area from I-4 to Catalina as we get more traffic, looking at improving it, looking at areas to enhance our walkways, looking at adding some fencing to protect the children as they cross Howland Boulevard, because as we move forward with the commercial and everything that's going on right there, we also have to protect our children. So I want to make it clear, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Lully, then Commissioner Avila-Vasquez, and we'll go for a vote.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question, and that when we brought up the commercial in the last item, I think maybe that was one of the concerns, and so then my question would be, because it didn't have to come up then, if, let's say, Sprouts wants to build a grocery store next to the movie theater, would this, how would this affect something like that? Would it be a pause on accepting an application for something like that? I'm just curious.
Not in the PUD that the movie theater is in, no.
Got it. Okay, and that's really where the frontage is now, like on Howland and Graves, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila-Vasquez, then we'll go for a vote, and after this, we got one more item.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm just going to make a comment back to, the suggested meetings or trips to the different sites of the way downtowns look or
centers.
Town
centers look. And I just want to say that there is no specific design. I mean, look at DeLand. DeLand is just a strip of long street, and it's a mixed use. It's a downtown mixed use. They have businesses downstairs and they have rentals upstairs. So it's not a huge circle, it's not a huge square. So just to keep an open mind of, we don't have to identify a specific area because of the size of it for a recreation area, or whatever we want to call it going forward. And we don't have to go very far. Just look at DeLand. DeLand is a beautiful downtown, and it's just a strip of blocks and restaurants and rentals on the top. Just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, we're going to go for Commissioner Howington. I'll allow you this last time, but we have to go to vote because we're getting close to our time. We still have a whole workshop to go, so go ahead.
Looking at what's highlighted here, is this the area that we're speaking about? Is this the area down below?
For the zoning in progress, yes.
So Synergy has an application in and is on schedule to be heard by us in just a matter of a couple weeks. It looks like there's an underlie with that yellow boxes under that Synergy property. How is that going to be impacted by what we do today?
It's outside there.
Because, I know that they have talked about having a couple different projects that they are proposing. How does that all play together?
So the Synergy project will still be reviewed under the current regulations, and if it does get approved, we will have to, when we do the master plan study, it'll be coordinated and collaborated with that particular project.
So, just food for thought, I would like us to consider potentially tabling this until we determine what's happening with Synergy. It's right in the center of this. Rhode Island Extension, we don't have that slated to be as exact yet. the things that I've heard about synergy, probably would that fit in with what we would like to do with the downtown? I'm just concerned about how this all plays with the application that we currently have in, given that essentially it's right next door to the property. I would like to see this handled after we hear synergy.
The person that made the motion, would you like to retract your motion?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
So
thank you.
let's go for a vote, please. Motion passes 6-1. This time, we're going to go to section 4C, resolution number 2025-50. If I can please have the city attorney read it.
Thank you so much.
After this, we'll take a break.
This is resolution number 2025-50. This is a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, approving the settlement of all claims made by Crystal, I'm going to butcher this, Espejo, as natural parent and legal guardian of LG, a minor, providing for implementation and effective date. Just to, obviously we have a background in the agenda item, but this just was an unfortunate incident that occurred at the Dewey Foster Sports Complex in 2022, and this child was injured and had medical expenses that were resultant from the accident. So a case was brought against the city, and we had a mediation with David Blessings from Roper, so he's the insurance defense attorney that had been working on this case for a year and a half. We had mediation about a week ago, and we were able to come to what we believe is a very favorable outcome. And one of the conditions of this settlement is that we brought it to this meeting today so that they could put this past them and move forward. Just to be clear, our carrier, so at the carrier for this case was PGCS. Our carrier was at the mediation, which when there's an insurance defense claim, you have the insurance defense attorney, again, David Blessings from Roper, and then the carrier representative. And the carrier representative is the one who authorizes amounts that the carrier will pay. So as part of the mediation negotiation, the opposing side makes their request, the mediator brings it back, they shuttle between the two rooms, and the carrier ultimately is the one who approves the amount that the carrier is willing to settle this case for. Their settlement is a $100,000 payment for this incident. Our deductible is only $1,000, and we do believe this is a very favorable outcome for the city, and obviously the carrier, who's the one who's obviously making the lion's share of the payment, felt that way as well. So this is that matter. Happy to answer any questions, but we think this is a certainly much more financially prudent than taking a case like this to trial, which we would need a lot more preparation to prepare for, a lot more expense on the carrier side, so increasing their legal fees, and there certainly is a risk, obviously, of always losing at trial. So financially, and I know this doesn't always make sense with settlements, but financially, when you do the math, especially when you evaluate how we're rated as an insured for future costs by the insurance company, they look at the total value that are spent on each claim, right? So sometimes it makes more sense to settle a case for $100,000. Let's say they've already spent $30,000 in legal fees, versus spending an additional $70,000 to get it ready for trial, take it to trial, and then you've potentially lost. So even if we got it ready for trial, we'd probably still be at this number. And then if the risk of losing at trial, even if it's at the statutory max, 250 plus 100,000 legal fees, that's a worse number bottom line wise for the city than a more reasonable settlement that happens early. And this is a good I think we're 5 months out from trial. So this will save a significant amount from
Mayor,
the carrier as well.
If I will, I'd like to make a motion to approve this resolution as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Harriet and a second by Commissioner Lully. We have Commissioner Avila Vasquez and Vice Mayor, just Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and then we'll go to public comment, or after Commissioner Cole.
Yes, I'm just curious, this is the first time we've ever brought a case like this to the commission for approval. It's always been done under shade meetings. Why the change?
I don't know the right way to answer that. I'm not quite sure what previous practice was, but this was not a case that had been in settlement negotiations. This is a case that was set for trial, and mediation was required by the court. So it wasn't, and for my practice, when we are trying to settle a case or develop a litigation strategy, that's I believe the best time to use shade meetings. This is a case that was not in settlement negotiations. I mean, and specifically not. They were not interested in those negotiations. It was set for trial. Mediation was required. We had the mediation, and this number was reached. And again, when the carrier is involved, again, they set that limit for the amount. So I'm not quite sure about prior practice, but there wasn't. If mediation had failed, we certainly would have brought this to you and said, mediation failed, this is their number, do we want to go back with a settlement? Or what is our litigation strategy here? But this was a case that we hadn't started trial prep. I mean, not we. Roper had not started significant trial prep. There was a lot of discovery still outstanding. There hadn't been negotiations, any number, in advance of mediation, to my knowledge. And so there was certainly nothing for us to bring back to you to say, hey, are you okay with this number? So this was the first time, and again, I can't speak to past practice, but this is a relatively, I would say this is a great outcome for us, $1,000 from the city's pocket to get rid of a case, of a child injured, which is never good. We never want that, even if we are not, at fault or purely at fault or solely at fault. Never a great look, and certainly terrible for children. We want to protect them on our parks, but I don't know a better way to explain it than that. So I guess I would say we weren't prepping for trial and we weren't in settlement. That's when we would bring you a case for shade.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because I wanted to hear your answer to it, because I had received calls asking me, why is this coming to a public commission meeting when most of these things are held in private, even if the insurance company is willing to pay up front and negotiate, even if we just wanted to say, okay, fine, go ahead. So I just wanted to, the people that gave me the phone call to understand that this is the process and the reason why it was brought to this meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. That's a great point and a great question. So again, if we'd been in trial prep, if we'd been in settlement negotiations, 100%, we have a shade meeting set for the next meeting on a case that's actively in settlement negotiations and in the middle of trial prep. So those are the cases we bring forward, but these cases that are, I would say, following the case management order and there's no discussion of settlement, candidly, it's great when a case like that settles at mediation, because when they don't come to you with a number in advance, it typically means they're taking this case to trial. It's a Morgan & Morgan case. They rarely take government clients, and so just it's been their position that they're going to trial. So the fact that we were able to go to the court-ordered mediation and come away with, again, a number below our cap is good. Certainly, you don't have to approve this today, and then we'll be back to square one in the case, and then we would have a shade meeting. But certainly, we do think it was a better outcome than we expected, and our deputy city manager was there, and I think it was better than we expected. We thought it would be an hour and out, and we're going to trial. It was 5 hours, and it was a very productive session. So we feel very good about bringing this, and And again, I think $1,000 from our pocket and a lower number for our overall insurance costs, I think is good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yeah, you had mentioned that the insurance carrier bases our rate are assuming on our liability, basically how much money it costs in court cases.
So I'm not an insurance agent, but in my understanding, there are a number of factors that they consider.
Would one of those be like the win-loss record also?
I don't actually have any even anecdotal data on that, although I will tell you that in my experience, it's really what's the bottom line number. So, you know, if we take 10 cases and all those cases have 30,000 legal fees and we settle them for under 50,000 versus we take 10 cases all the way to trial and we don't settle and we spend 100,000 per case, we're spending more even if we win at trial. So I believe it's very much their bottom line. Certainly, I think our carrier works closely with our staff and our risk manager to mitigate the risk. And I know they provide trainings, which are very helpful to help mitigate risk and remind us. But my understanding is it's really about that bottom line number, which is, again, partly why carriers will push for a settlement in a case, especially if you can get out for 25, 50 grand, because the fees are, I mean, I used to do insurance defense. We would bill cities between $10,000 and $20,000 a month per case. So the fees are substantive. Just to move a case all the way, to move a case to trial, insurance companies are probably spending between $100,000 and $150,000. So a lot of times the math makes more sense for them. But my understanding is it's the bottom line, not necessarily, but I don't have data, to be fair. We could ask the carrier. We could let you know.
Okay. During the mediation process, was there facts presented in the case and the carrier felt that it would be in our best interest to settle? Is that?
Yes. We, I think, as a city, do an excellent job of promoting safety in our parks. I think that the manager, the deputy manager, and our parks director are top-notch, and I would say some of the best in the state, if not the country, at ensuring our parks are safe, well-managed, and well-maintained. However, incidents occur, and when you have any sports or recreation complex, even just a field, and there's a divot, right, just from rain or whatever it is, from flooding, there's a divot in a baseball field or a soccer field or a piece of playground equipment that by nature is a risky piece of equipment because it's meant to encourage climbing, you can have incidents and accidents that occur. Liability is a factor, but I will tell you, and again, this was how I started my legal career, it is very challenging to take a small child with an injury to trial. It is typically not advisable. You might do it if we said it was not, it wasn't our park, it was owned by a private property owner, then we probably would say yeah, because we could deny a liability. But if we're the owner of the underlying land where an accident occurs, even if the liability is tricky and not 100%, it's hard to win a case at trial with a child with an injury, particularly if there's a scar. And so when we reviewed the mediation packet, we were very motivated to settle. And we think this is a fair settlement, and we think this is a fair compensation for this family, but certainly favorable because I think it's obviously $150,000 below the cap.
Without getting into too much detail, obviously there's a pending litigation still. Has the incident been corrected as far as any safety issues or anything?
Yes. I mean, it was corrected, yes. Okay. Far in the past. It's been confirmed, corrected. I think they're even adding language in Spanish for safety language to warn newborn families. And in parks, I mean, kids, they have like the little kid area and then the big kid area. And so, I think the decision, again, our team is excellent on staff, was let's put it in Spanish to make sure that everyone and all of our residents can understand, this is for the toddlers and this part's for the older kids.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Terry Ellis, please. Sorry, that was the wrong. Okay, sorry. Nope. There's no.
All right, can we please vote? Motion passes 7-0. Is there any public comments regarding stuff not on the agenda?
We don't do that at special meetings, do we?
All right, it's on here. We usually do for workshops at the end. City manager comments? Okay.
Ready for the workshop, Mayor.
All right, so we're going to adjourn this meeting.
Any reason why there is no commission comments?
It's a workshop.
Special.
It's a workshop? It's a meeting?
Or it's a special commission meeting, I'm sorry. Special commission meeting. We're going to go ahead and take a 15-minute recess so we can all use the restroom and get the system switched over for the workshop.
We're in a tough spot.